Hello, it's Miss Allen. Welcome to Lesson 2 of Social Studies. We're in Unit 1, the America the Beautiful, and we're in Topic 1, the mini maps of the U.S. Yesterday, we went over various types of maps. We looked at 6 different maps to tell the similarities and differences between them. It could have been colors. It could have been the information on the map. It could have been a world map, a U.S. map, all sorts of things that we looked at yesterday just to kind of get our brains geared towards what is this map telling us and how can I read it. And today, before we get started with our lesson, we're going to warm up your brain and get that knowledge going for another brain dump. I want you to label as many continents and oceans, north and south poles, and try to drag the little heart in the corner to where we live. So let me get out of our slideshow and show you how to do that. Okay, so here is our map features work page for lesson 2, and the first page is our brain dump. And it's asking me to locate and label the continents, oceans, and the poles in our home. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the heart in the corner, and I know that we live somewhere up here in this continent. So I'm going to drag it there. Is it going to be perfect? No, it's not going to be perfect. But let's look at our map key. So each continent is a color, and each ocean is numbered. So I want you to name the continent with the color that associates with it. So let's start with orange. Most of us know the orange continent, and we know that it is North America. So I'm going to type North America in. Alright, so the next continent is right below us, and it's green. I want you to fill in now what you think the green continent is. So the green one can be pretty easy for us since we live in North America. Below us is South America. Hopefully you got that right. Alright. The next one is our Aqua Continent. It's located up here by ocean number 3. I want you to fill in now what you think the Aqua Continent is. If you guessed Europe, you are correct. It is Europe. Now let's go to our red continent. Here is our red continent. I want you to fill in what you think the red one is. And if you're not sure, it's okay. This is our brain dump. I'm just walking you through it. So if you do know what the red continent is, fill it in now on your work page. If you guessed Africa, you are correct. So now let's look at our purple continent, this big continent right here next door to Europe. What continent is that? Type it in now. If you guessed Asia, you are correct. Now our next continent is this little lonely yellow continent that's kind of like an island because it's off by itself, way down under. So what continent is that? Type it in now. If you guessed Australia, you are correct. Now we have our last continent, and it's white down here. Now it's white because it has lots of ice. Can you guess what continent is very, very cold way down south? Type it here now. If you guessed Antarctica, you are correct. Alright, now let's look at our oceans. Now ocean number 1 is over here, and it is on the side of California. So if you've ever visited California, what ocean is that? Type it in by number 1. If you guessed Pacific, you are correct. Now, ocean number 2 is probably the ocean that we've all swam in because it's closer to home. It's on the side of Florida and South Carolina and North Carolina. That's where those beaches are. So what ocean do you swim in if you go to the east side of Florida? Type it in by number 2. If you guessed Atlantic, you are correct. It is the Atlantic Ocean. Now let's look at number 3. Number 3 is way up here by this orange flag. And I'm guessing number 3 is pretty cold since it's way up by the pole. So what ocean is way up north by the North Pole that's super duper cold? Type it here now if you know it. If not, just make a guess. If you guessed Arctic Ocean, you are correct. That is the Arctic Ocean. Now let's look at number 4. Number 4 is down south of Asia and right there by Africa. What ocean lies by those 2 continents? For number 4, type it in now. If you don't know, it's okay. If you guessed the Indian Ocean, you are correct. And if you notice, the Pacific Ocean wraps back around to this side, so those are technically both the Pacific. And now we have our last ocean, number 5. It's down south by Antarctica. So what ocean do you think is our last ocean? Type it in now. If you guessed Southern Ocean, you are right. Number 5 is the Southern Ocean. Now we have our poles. We have an orange flag up here to the north and a yellow flag here to the south. So the orange flag is the North Pole and the yellow flag is the South Pole. I did not expect y'all to know all of these, but I wanted to go ahead and walk you through them to make sure that you labeled them correctly because we will have a continents and oceans quiz coming up, and this will be a good way for you to study them. Okay, let's go back to our lesson. Now that we've completed our brain dump of all of the continents, oceans, and poles. Remember, our unit goal for our Unit 1 is gaining a basic understanding of geography and practice reading and interpreting various types of maps. And we're going to use different types of maps in this unit so you're equipped to be successful in future lessons. Our standards, we're locating and labeling continents, oceans, and poles using key parallels and meridians on a map or globe. We're going to measure distances using a map scale. We're also going to interpret different types of maps using the map features like a key or a legend, a compass rose, cardinal intermediate directions, and longitude, latitude, and a scale. Remember our key questions for this unit. What information do maps tell us? How do we read a map? And why do we use maps? So we have done our brain dump, and I walked you through it, but just in case, here is our answers that we did. Now let's get started with today's lesson. Maps have features that help us use them, and they help us interpret and understand the maps. They can help us understand direction, distance, location, resources, and landmarks. So I want you to pull up your interactive notebook that is on your student work page. We are going to define these map features, which are map title, compass rose, the legend or the key, map scale, cardinal and intermediate directions. So I am going to go back to my work page. I'm going to go to my second page, and here's where I'm going to type in what the lesson is telling me. So the first lesson tells me that a map key or legend tells you what you are looking at on the map. So the map title, excuse me. So it names your map. It tells you what the map is about. or what you're looking at on the map. And so I just want you to go through and take these notes about map features. So I'll have to go back in, and let's see the next one. So a compass rose shows directions printed on a map. You can't see it with it presented, but right here in this bottom corner is a compass rose. So it shows directions on the map. And those directions are cardinal and intermediate directions. All right, now let's go through and see the map key. And as I type, you type. And if I go too fast, just pause this video and fill it in. Okay. Now the legend and key gives you information to analyze the map. And if you look here on this world map, this is the legend or key. It tells you the oceans and the continents, and usually it will have color or symbols to represent those things. So a map key or legend gives you information to analyze the map, usually colors or symbols. So I'm going to type that in my notes. Okay, so a map key gives you information about the map, usually in colors or symbols. So now the map scale helps to determine distance. So you will usually see a map scale like this one here that you can use your fingers to gauge an approximate estimated difference from one place to another. So I'm going to type that in for my notes for map scale. And this distance is approximate. It is not exact. So now we have cardinal directions. What are cardinal directions? So if you look here on this compass rose, they're not labeled, but the cardinal directions are north, south, east, and west. So I'm going to type this in now. Okay, now let's see what intermediate. Intermediate are all the directions in between the cardinal directions. So we have northwest, we have southwest, we have southeast, and then we have northeast. So I'm going to type that in, northwest, southwest, southeast, and northeast. Those are the intermediate directions in between the cardinal directions. Okay, now I have my notes on map features, and now I'm going to practice labeling my map features on my world map. Okay, so let's practice that really quickly. So this symbol right here, what can y'all remember that is? Type it in the yellow box now. If you guessed compass rose, you are correct. That is a compass rose. Now right here where it says world map, what feature from these 6 features is that? Type it in now. If you guessed map title, you are correct. That is the title of the map. It's telling you what you're looking at. You are looking at a world map. Okay, now we have this here that looks like a chart or diagram of numbers. And it looks like it's telling us a distance. So what do you think that is? Fill it in this box now. What do you think that is that tells distance? If you guessed map scale, you are right. Now I want you to do this last one by yourself. What is down here that usually uses colors or symbols to help you read a map? Type in what that is now. All right. So our next page is we're going to interpret political maps. And I'm going to model this map and show you how to note and notice things about this map. This is going to be very similar to yesterday's lesson of you just telling me what you see on this map. So let me go to our work page on our next page where it says the political map of the U.S. What do you notice about this map? And if this picture is too blurry, you can always go back to this page here. So what do I notice on this political map of the U.S.? Actually, of the world. What do I notice about this map? I notice that it has different countries and different colors. And because those countries are in different colors, I can see the borders of each country. I see a map key. What else do I see of features that I've learned today? I see a map title. Right here, I see the compass rose that gives us our cardinal and intermediate directions. I see in white, I see the oceans that are labeled. And so I'm noticing on this map just different things that I see. And I'm going to change this to world because it's actually showing us the whole world. So if you see anything else on this map, type it now. Okay, I want you to do slide 5 and 6 on your own. We're going to practice with cardinal directions, which is north, south, east, and west. And this is asking you what country is south of Canada. So you may have to pull up a different map if this is too blurry for you. So you can go to this plus sign and pull up a world map to help you see it. But here is Canada, it's green. South is directly below, it goes down. So what country is directly below Canada? Type it now. If you guessed North America, you are correct. So that is all you do. What continent is east of Europe? So we labeled this as Europe. Let's go to our compass rose. This way is east. So here is Europe. What continent is east of Europe? If you said Asia, you are right. I want you to do the last two on your own. And then on this one, you can create your own question. So you can erase this and say what ocean is north of Australia, or what continent is north of Antarctica. You can be creative. Create your own question and answer it below. Now let's look at our next one. We're going to be working with our intermediate directions. So what continent is southeast from North America? So let's see. Here's North America. We're looking for a continent that is southeast. So this way. So I'm going to go to North America and go southeast. What continent is this right here? Type it now. If you guess South America, you're right. All right, let's do the next one together. What continent is northeast of Antarctica? So let's go to our compass rose and see how to do northeast. So it's going this way. This is northeast. So here's Antarctica. We are going to go northeast. What continent is northeast of Antarctica? What continent is this? Type it now. If you guessed Asia, you were right. Now I want you to do this next question on your own, and also I want you to create another question just like the page before using the intermediate directions. You could say, what continent is northeast from Africa? You could say, what continent is northwest from Australia? Be creative. Create your own question. Okay, now we're going to use a map scale, and if this is too blurry, you can always zoom in. So this says 100, 200, and 300 miles. So if you take your fingers from here to here, that's an estimated 300 miles. Is this exact? No, it's definitely not exact, but it's approximate. So let's just say, what is the estimated distance from Louisiana to Oklahoma? So I'm going to take my fingers and touch my screen to get my fingers the distance of 300 miles. And now I'm going to touch Louisiana to Oklahoma. And it looks like it's around 300 miles to get to Oklahoma. So I'm going to put 300 miles. So that is just from the edge of Louisiana to the edge of Oklahoma. It looks around 300 miles. So what is the estimated distance from Maine to Pennsylvania? So let's see here. Let's see if I can take my fingers. And we're doing Maine to Pennsylvania. So I'm going to get my fingers right. I'm going to scroll up. And it looks like to be a little over 300 miles. So I'm going to estimate that it's about 400 miles. And you can make an estimate. Is everybody's answer going to be the same? Definitely not, but this is just a way for you to practice using a map scale to estimate distance between one place from another. I want you to do this last question on your own and then create your own question of a distance with a map scale and answer your own question. Okay, now we're to your exit ticket. I want you to identify 2 map features that you learned today and explain how they help you analyze and interpret a map. If you need to scroll back up to your map features page to help you remember the 6 that you learned about, do that now. I want you to pick 2. It could be map scale and cardinal directions, or map key and compass rose, whatever you want to write about. I want you to tell me 2 and tell me how they help you read a map. Be sure to answer in complete sentences. That's the end of lesson 2 with reading and interpreting maps using map features, and I hope you have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.